Hi. Just do it, damn it. Hi, I'm Craig. This may or may not be the beginning of my YouTube journey. I decided to join the bearded men that I have been eating, sleeping and breathing the last few weeks. I've been inspired by many. Let me see, MCM Outdoors, the Fell Wanderer, Sconger, loads of others. Pam the Van, I love a van, can't afford a van. So I don't even know how to get started, and I've got a few ideas and I hope I can come up with something to make mine a little bit different. And I thought, rather than just keep going on about it and obsessing over gear and the videos, I would just get my gear together and let's just do it. The first video I've no doubt will be a washout, but so I'm here and we'll see where it goes from here. Oh, I'll tell you where I am actually. On my doorstep I have the Oakle Hills, and I thought it's high time that I've been up here a few times. There's stories for another day. Some very disastrous camping trips with my good pal Scott. He's not here this time, but I've no doubt he'll be joining me very soon in the future for other walks, camps. Not explored the Oakles properly, and I'm sure people will tell me that I'm very wrong, is I found it quite difficult to find water up here. So one of my problems with going to the Oakles, and I say my problems, is that I have to carry the water in. I've currently got 1.5 litres of water on me, which will cover me for tonight, no problem, for my hot meal, for coffees and breakfast tomorrow morning. But I hope to find a source of sustainable water. Now, I've been scrutinising the maps and stuff like this. What I've got here is a sort of 3D view. Thank you to Ordnance Survey. And basically, I'm somewhere on this little path, and I intend to walk up and around here, and there's this little valleyette, tributary valley, don't know what they're called, and I'm hoping that there's accessible water. I've often been up in the Oakles and you can hear water, but you can't actually see it because it's underground. But I want flowing water. I've got purification tablets and all that, but if I can find a sustainable source of water, that would be great. And there's these two little patches here, southeast of the summit of Dumyat, and I'm hoping to camp there tonight. So it's not going to be a particularly long, mad hike. So I've got two remits. One is to find water, the other a good camping spot. And if the walk's doable, I hope to include my family on my wild camps, because we all love camping as a family. I've got a wife and 2 boys, and we've recently got a backpacking tent. We've got a big family tent that has to go in the car because it's the size of a small moon, and but I've recently got a 3-person one that I can squeeze in the front, hoping to do some backpacking with the family. And there you go. So I'll shut up for now, I'll get going. I'm heading up this path, and I'll tune in later on. Just show you, that's Dumyat behind me. So you're looking north, to head up that way and left north, and then come back on myself a little bit. I'm not going to summit or anything tonight, just looking for those one of those 2 camping spots. That'll be me. Excuse the head weight. How could I possibly forget Paul Messner? I've watched all of your videos, mate. Good guy. A lot of help, a lot of helpful advice. Inspiring. And Alistair Humphreys, you're another one to blame for this. Some way back, got your book about micro adventures, started getting into that idea, and that's what made me look closer to home, on our doorstep. Lived in the west end of Fife many years and never went near the Oakles, but really starting to get the bug. I want to explore them and find out all the little treasure troves. Seen some good footage on YouTube, some guys like waterfalls and some bonny places. Anyway, halfway up. I'm getting away from the sort of industrial stuff now, but behind me you can see what's below. Can't remember what town that is. I don't know if I'm looking at Glenocal or I'm too far along anyway. But Menstrie, that's what I'm looking at. Anyway, right off in the distance you can see where I live. The lights over in the far distance is Grangemouth. Closer than that we've got, oh, it's behind the trees now, but Kincardine, where I live, Kincardine Bridge, Clacks Bridge. Anyway, I'll show you from further up. I think this is it. I've been walking for 40 minutes since I got dropped off. Done just under a mile. It says I've climbed 666 feet. Ooh. Now, this will be my spot. It's going to fit my little tent in there, no problem. Obviously lousy light, you're not going to be able to see it. In the background you can see all below. There is a spot that would get a better view up there, that little plateau in the foreground, but it might be more overexposed. I can't be bothered climbing it just to get a load of wind. There's not much wind here. Normally I'd be wary of that because of midges. Midges don't do October, do they? Not that I remember. But so here we are. I'm going to get set up and get back to you. Okay. That's us. Again, lousy lighting. But I'm here. Looks like I'm in an oil refinery, but anyway, that's me. Ready to get my gear in, get some grub. Okay, this is the inside of my little one-man Nordisk Svalbard. I'll go more into that. I'm not going to go into detail on my gear. Yes, stuff sacks. I've got a thing about... No, I've not got a thing about that. I'll go into that later. A lot of Chinese stuff, I suppose. And before anyone judges me and says gear freak, can be, but I'm not as bad as some. And I will say this: I have bought a lot of gear over the years, 30 years plus. I have made good use of most of it, and it's the only reason that my wife doesn't tear me a new one when I buy new stuff. To quote, it's what you've always done. So before you judge, there's also some guilty pleasures in here. Might go into that a bit later. Hang on, where did I find them? Slippers. Yes, slippers, right? But I'll go into that later as well. And a flipping heavy mug. I'll go into that as well later. I'm back, and yes, I've changed. I'm not an expert at this. I'm a div, to be honest. But one thing I have learnt over the years is when you get to camp, get all the sweaty stuff off. Sweaty stuff cools quickly and you get cold quickly and uncomfortable, and it can make for a lousy night. So it may be a guilty pleasure to some, but so I've got my thicker hat on. I don't walk in this one. I don't want to get it all sweaty. This is for when I'm sat doing nothing. My body temperature's cooling and all that sort of stuff. I've got another fleece like the blue one that I had on earlier on. It's pretty much the same thing, different make, but it's the same thing, but it's dry, and a fresh dry t-shirt. The other thing I've put on, getting down here, is my little sleeping bag slippers. They are a guilty pleasure, but when you're on your knees and you're sitting cramped for extended periods of time, when you're getting on a bit, or maybe it applies to everybody, but certainly for me anyway, I've noticed that my feet just get freezing. They turn into blocks of ice. That's before I've got bedded down. So they're little sleeping bags for my feet. Nordisk again, coincidentally, not by design, but just so I've got them. All right. The other thing is I've got another thick pair of socks on. These are a guilty pleasure. I don't even know how I got them. They're Bridgedale, whoever they are. I don't remember buying them. I might have been gifted them or something like that, but they are the Rolls Royce of socks. I don't walk in them. It's a guilty pleasure. It's a heavy metal mug, but it's not. It's got a small bowl in it, if you like. It's a small cup. So when you use these 3-in-1 coffee things, you get a stronger coffee. I'd rather have less coffee, but it'd be nice and flavoursome than a massive half-litre mug that just tastes like hot mud. So that's why I've got that. The story to this is I was a lorry driver some years back, and this was my mug in my cab. So there's a bit of sentimental value to it. It's kind of what I've got left of those days. And you also might be looking at it thinking, it's going to keep falling over because it's got a daft little narrow base. And believe me, in my truck, it did. But here, it's brilliant. Camping, watch this. All these thermo-insulated mugs, all you need is a sweaty shoe. Here's where I say a thanks to some of the guys in the YouTube videos who I was trying to get around this thing with the jet boil. I've had loads of stoves over the years, Trangias and the usual gas ones and all this, but gone for the jet boil. And I was trying to do it without dirtying the jet boil pot, looking for dried stuff and all this, and then I saw guys like Chris and MCM and Paul and all that doing bags, putting it in boiling water. So that'll heat that up. I'm presuming that if I do this, I can then use the water outside of it that hasn't been tainted with the mints or anything. I can use that to make a brew. Is there something wrong with that? Have I boiled plastic in it? Am I going to blow it? Just before I close up, looking down there, it appears some poor soul has jumped off the bridge again. We don't get many helicopters around here because of the power lines, and when you do, it's usually the emergency services looking for somebody who's jumped off the bridge into the river. There's a number of blue lights down to the left hand side there, and I can hear a chopper. I saw it coming in, and it's flying really low over the two bridges, like the Kincardine Bridge and the Clacks Bridge. That's a shame. Back to the beer. Yeah, I bought a beer with me. I'm a creature of habit, so I won't be reviewing loads of different ones. I have tried some more of these craft beers, and thanks to my brother-in-law Stephen who introduced me to these, brewed in Ellen up in Aberdeenshire, becoming really popular. They're an acquired taste. At first they were kind of like cross between sort of Bovril and bison breath or something. It's weird, but I just really like it. And then once you get a taste for them, all the other lagers, the Coors and Budweiser and all that just tastes like bash. So that's what I brought with me, one of these. I am inspired by Chris at MCM. Has this amazing way of describing beers as he opens them. It's like I don't know, it's like Shakespeare or something, and it's always very entertaining. Does his drive-bys and all that sort of stuff. I'm not going to try and copy him, just giving it a shout out, credit where credit's due. It's funny, it's entertaining, I like it, Chris. So I'm going to have my beer just now anyway. I have these every night. I have them for breakfast, I smuggle them into work, I drink them in the toilet. Made all that last bit up, but yes, this is currently my thing, and my wife says that I'm a lot better behaved on these than I am on wine and certainly spirits. Bad news. So that's what I'm having tonight. Oh, as this is my first video, I'm going to dedicate it. There's a number of people, one or two people who I cannot name, but I'd like to think that in some small way they were along with me on this little micro adventure. They know who they are, so I will just dedicate this little trip, and may it be the first of many, to the incarcerated. Cheers. It's 4:33 a.m. I need to pee. There you go. Cozy. A little bit blowy, as I said, but very comfortable night. This is what I've opened up to this morning. I've seen it looking better. There's Dumyat up there, looking out over the Forth Valley. Not much point in trying to describe what's in the distance there, but like I said, I've seen it better on some days. Still quite a view. Bothered coming to last night. almost there. Start getting a bit slack as anything. It's actually quite spot on. It's only a 2-hole tunnel tent. You don't get it sitting nice and square as you can make it. The flight sheet is like a popping box. This area, plenty of flat spots, but very exposed. Anyway, I'm still searching for more. I'm using that Ordnance Survey app to locate it accurately on my phone, just in case you're casting judgment. I do have a proper Ordnance Survey over here, you know, in the event of my phone going flat and stuff. Belts and braces. Water! I've not been this excited since I joined Al-Qaeda. Why the accent? I don't know, just excited. Water! The cave entrance. I told my boys there's trolls living in here, so if I don't return, they have to take up after me. And I know either make peace with the trolls, eat the trolls. Clouds are looking a bit grim. I've been watching the movement to see if they're headed this way. I hope not. I'd like to get packed up before everything gets soaked. Had me brew, coffee. Next up is my porridge. Enjoyed this. I used to go camping a lot when I was younger, like under the cairngorms and that, and then kind of fell out of love with it. I don't know, just unfit, and I was smoking then, and other stuff got in the way. Kind of fell out of love with it, and then it was the guys on the internet I started watching. I kind of fell back in love with it. So thanks to all of you guys, I'm back here, and I've dug out some of my old gear, and I've updated some of my gear. But more than anything, it's just a real tonic to be up here. It just really blows the confidence out. Yeah, thanks. Strictly speaking, the good ship Svalbard is a pitch inner first, but the outer just the fly just clips on, and it's quite a sort of floppy, easy go tent. Probably makes it more difficult to get it up well, but it just means it's easy to slide the poles through with the whole thing intact. So if you're putting it up in wet weather, it's not actually such a bad thing. Up, that's the end of a good trip. This trip's had more endings than Lord of the Rings, but anyway, I've got my rubbish clipped to the bottom of my bag and saved for a patch of flat grass, as all the bearded boys say. Leave no trace. Sorted, packed up, heading down for my lift. Up some of the video yesterday and cut it off, so that's Dumyat, or one bit of it. That's Dumyat, but I can't remember what that one's called now. Anyway, quite grand in their own little way. I don't even think they're not even 2,000 feet, but sexy little hills anyway. And that's the way I came. But yeah, for some reason when I videoed it yesterday, it cut it off. So I was up or around there somewhere. No, up that way. Shut up. Right. That was good. Do you want your bra back?
Yes, please.